We're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship, zooming through the sky.
What's up, guys? My name's Daniel. Feel free to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. It's completely free, costs you nothing. If you feel like donating, there's a way to do that down in the description. I love to have my back scratched. I like giving free information, but it also feels good to have a little bit returned to me as well. So, I also have a Facebook page if you guys want to check that out, or you have questions, or you just want to join, post your bike, whatever, talk about things. That link is also in the description. I have my PayPal link in there if you want to send a donation to buy me a cup of coffee, whatever. It also helps support the channel. So without further ado, let's get started. Hopefully I get to help you guys out today. Let's get going. What's up, guys? We're going to keep it simple and easy today. However, there's a topic I want to talk about. For those of you that own these little Chinese scooters, they could be great little machines. There's a few things I want to go over. If you're a new owner of a Chinese scooter, number one, I probably feel slightly bad for you because most likely if you bought a new one, that means you probably bought it from a dealership and they took advantage of you. The average dealership purchases these in bulk and it costs them about $450 per unit. They turn around and sell that unit to you for close to $1,500 or more. So they're making a lot of profit off purchasing these in bulk and selling them to you. They also do not give you a great maintenance guide for you guys to go by and understand how to break these things in properly. And yeah, let's talk about this. Are these as reliable as a Honda or a Suzuki or a Yamaha? The answer to that is no. Most of those scooters by name brand reputable companies will see around 30 to 70,000 miles on those original engines. Okay, these normally come with an engine known as the GY6 engine, and they are almost universal parts. You can buy the parts from Amazon, eBay, whatever. If it says 50cc through 150cc GY6, 139 QMB, 157 QMJ, or any one of those model numbers, and we're going to talk about how to check the model number on your scooter. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly where that's at on these things. But before we get into that, let's keep talking about this. These engines are made of basic pot metal casting. They're very cheaply made. Okay, hence you can pick up an engine brand new on eBay or Amazon for like $150 to $220 to replace an engine. If you look up what an actual Honda Ruckus engine is, which is what these are designed after, these little GY6 engines are designed off an 80s engine from Honda, you will see those engines are very expensive in comparison to what they offer on these. That being said, these are universal pretty much. China made an agreement with themselves where if they were going to be mass producing these Chinese scooters for sale and they wanted to keep selling them, they had to make kind of universability across the board so people could actually get parts for these. The downside to these Chinese scooters, you can get engine parts, belt parts, CVTs, transmissions, all that stuff. You can get all that stuff, but when it comes to body panels and stuff outside of mechanical working stuff on these scooters, you know, it is very difficult. They don't exactly sell new headlight units or plastics or any of this stuff. Unfortunately, that is very difficult to get your hands on. So expect that if you buy a Chinese scooter and you wreck any of the plastics, most likely, unless you can find the exact model that you have somewhere else in your area that you can pick up on Facebook and part it out and replace your plastics, you're probably not going to be able to buy those parts individually from any dealer or aftermarket company for that matter. I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just saying it's very difficult to find it. All right, let me show you where the engine model number is on your scooter and then we can move forward from there. If you come down to the kickstand side of your scooter and you look down here, right there you'll notice it says P139QMB. So this is a P model, a P139QMB. This is a GY6 Chinese P139QMB, which is what I pretty much assumed it was going to be. This is telling you that it's a 50cc version. If it was like a Q157 or a QMJ 157, that would be a 50 or a 150cc model number. But this is where you look at your engine model number on your scooter. This will help you determine what parts you need. So when you're ordering parts, this is where you would come to get your parts list from. So you would look up a 1P39QMB and then try to find parts specifically for this, because it'll pretty much make sure if you're getting gaskets or anything equivalent to that, very particular parts, that this will work. Most of the rest of the engine, you can just look up 50cc Chinese scooter parts, and you'll be able to, get basic stuff. Carburetors and all that, they're all pretty much universal between the system. Petcock fuel stuff, like this Petcock system is pretty much universal between the system. Drive belts and stuff, they can vary a little bit, but not much. They're normally a 669 something something. Kickstarts are all pretty much the same. So, good information to know. Alright, you just bought your scooter. They didn't tell you much about it. You don't know what to do. You own it. You're telling yourself, oh, I'm going to keep bringing this back to the shop to have it worked on. Let me tell you this. It is very difficult to find shops that will actually work on these because they're Chinese. Most of the stuff you'll be doing on these will require you to look up on YouTube and do your own search and information and all that stuff for yourself. Okay? When you first get your scooter, immediately change the gear oil in the back of the CVT, and I'll take you over there and show you exactly what you need. I think I actually have some on the shelf here. Give me 1 second. I'll show you what oil you need to put in the gear drive system. I believe this is it. Yep, there you go. Okay. So SAE 80W90. I can't remember what the SL number is on this. Is it SL3, SL5? I can't remember. But anyways, the GL number on this. This is GL5. So this will work for scooters, okay? So if you guys were curious, that is the oil that you're going to be putting in the back end of this, which I'm about to take you over and show you right now. It's too bad I parked the scooter so close to the trash can before I got started, but right down here, okay, that's your drain plug, right down there. You're going to drain it out. That's your fill point, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's your fill point. Anyways, you'll be able to see what your fill point. Oh no, there's the drain down here, and then one of these is your fill point. So you'll be doing it from here and there. The oil that comes in these is garbage. Same thing with the engine oil. Garbage. Just break-in oil. After the first 300 miles, you're going to want to change your oil. Okay? So, my suggestion to you, if you want these engines to last a very long time, use semi-synthetic or synthetic, okay? I would suggest Lucas 1040 semi-synthetic motorcycle oil, 4-stroke motorcycle oil. That will guarantee you the best results. The least amount of friction on the engine, the longer it's going to last. We know that these things rarely ever see 10,000 miles. So if you can keep the engine in good shape for a long period of time, that is exactly what you should be doing, using good oil. Moving forward, the next one you need to be aware of. Constantly check your tire pressure. If your tires are low, you'll lose speed. A lot of people just get these things from the dealership, they start riding, they're like, I don't get it. Why does it only go 25 miles an hour? It doesn't make any sense. Air up your tires. They need to have actual regulated, fairly good amount of air in them. The tire pressure rating is on the side of the tire. Make sure they're aired up correctly, and I think you'll find that your scooter is a little faster than you think it is. Double riding. If you're two small people, I say that's fine. 230-pound people, that's about where you want to sit, or one large individual, 300 pounds. These things really aren't meant to take tons of weight, so if you're buying it and 280-pound people are riding this, your scooter's not going to last very long, okay? Simple trips, guys. These are not meant for driving back and forth 20 miles to work every day and 20 miles home. You want something like that, get something reliable, get a Yamaha, Suzuki, or Honda. These will not cut it. Within the first month of you trying to drive it back and forth like that, most likely you'll burn up the engine, you'll have failure of components. It's really rare that that doesn't happen when you try to push these extremely hard. These are grocery getters, guys. They're meant for just a little in-town use and kind of doing simple things. If you want something bigger, get a 150cc. They accomplish that task a little bit better. They're still not super duper reliable, but they can handle that kind of load. Right? They're just more designed for that kind of travel. These little 50cc's are really just kind of like 5 to 7 miles around your town, just kind of getting little simple things and going home. Or if your job's really close, drive it to your job, come home. They're not meant for long, extended travels of hours of driving to work at 30 miles an hour. they're just not meant for that. I'm sorry. What speed should you expect? Most of these are regulated at 30 miles an hour. Okay. Sometimes, and I've noticed this with some scooters that are sold from China, they go faster. They'll go 45 to almost 50 miles an hour. Another thing we're going to talk about here in a second, I'm going to get to that, I'm going to show you, but these normally, unless they're modified in some kind of way, go about 30 to 32 miles an hour, okay? State regulation, I believe, is like 30 or 35 miles an hour on scooters. That's why they're classified as scooters. If they go faster than that, technically they're supposed to classify as a motorcycle, requiring a motorcycle endorsement to drive on the road. These are dependent on a motorcycle or scooter license. If you're under age 14, I think in Michigan at 14 you can get a scooter license to be able to drive one of these, and then at 16 you get your driver's license, and that's all these really require is normally a standard driver's license. But let me show you something. Switch this camera around. I don't know how well you guys can see this is yellowed out pretty well. The small numbers are actually the miles per hour. The big numbers are actually kilometers an hour. So, and these are normally about 5 miles to 7 miles per hour off. So this one does tack out. I have modified it. This has an 80cc big bore kit. I can easily clear the entire speedometer. But that being said, most of you guys will find yourself cruising at around the little 30 mark there, 35. If some of you get lucky, you get one that actually goes 40 or excessive, good for you. You got an awesome deal. Just make sure to regulate your speed, okay? This goes for all owners of scooters, no matter if it's a used one or not. Every 1,000 miles, adjust your tappet valves. I'll say it again. Every 1,000 miles, adjust your tappet valves. Okay? Seems excessive. It's a very simple job to do. The seat comes off, the head comes off, boom. You have feeler gauges, set them real quick. Head goes, the valve cover goes back on, seat goes back on, 4 screws get put back in place. You're done. Every 1,000 miles, set your valves. Trust me. It will make the engine last a lot longer if the valves are in good shape. They vibrate a lot. They come loose. They get too tight. They get too loose. It causes problems. Scooter has an issue running. Adjust your valves. Every 1,000 miles, adjust your valves. Same thing goes for oil changes. Every 1,000 miles, change your oil. These are high revving machines. These things only take 3/4 of a quart of oil. So every 1,000 miles is going to cost you $7 to change your oil. That's cheap. That's cheap. $7 to change your oil. It's cheap. Just change your oil. Trust me. What fuel should you run in this? I don't want to hear anybody be like, oh, I run only premium, blah, 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 blah. Wrong. Wrong. 100% wrong. Ethanol-free fuel is what you run in these if you can. Not all areas have them, but if you can. This is a carbureted machine. The Chinese carbs that are in these are not designed for ethanol-rated content. If you're having to use ethanol-rated fuels, 10% ethanol curve, and yes, premium falls into that category of having ethanol content with a 10% curve on it at most gas stations. So it doesn't matter if you're running premium or not. It's going to ruin the carb. These carbs normally only last about a year if you are not using ethanol-free fuel. Every year, every 7 months to a year, you'll be replacing the carburetor with an aftermarket carb if you're having to run ethanol fuel. Not everybody, most of the time, that's how it turns out, okay? Don't be a statistic. Run ethanol-free fuel if you can. If not, carburetors are cheap. They're about 20 bucks. Slap a new carb on it, good to go again for another 7 months to a year. But what happens is the ethanol just absolutely eats the internals of the carb, especially if they sit for any duration of time. Stagnant, it just ruins everything inside the carbs really quickly. Ethanol-free fuel is what you want to run if you have a scooter. Trust me on this. Trust me. Should you be doing wheelies on these? These shocks are garbage. They will blow out on you if you're slamming the front of the scooter down in a heartbeat. You will wreck and have a gnarly accident. Do not jump these or do anything unnecessary that doesn't have road conditions, normal road conditions, because I promise you, these shocks are no joke. They are very cheap and crappy. And to give you an idea, the shock housing is right here inside here. You can't see it, but if that blows, that will shoot through the plastic and hit you in the face. It happened to my friend. All he did was jump it off a little sidewalk, and the shock tower blew through the cavity here and hit him in the face. He has a gnarly scar right here where it opened up the whole side of his face. Think it's a joke? Cheap Chinese parts. This is one of those things where you play FAFO around and find out. That's the game you want to play? Enjoy. You will hurt yourself. It will suck. You will not enjoy what happens. You'll total your scooter, you'll total yourself, and you'll be really mad that you earned a new, probably pretty wicked face guard that has a cool story behind it. But at the same time, let's regulate ourselves here, people. Make smart decisions. That's all I'm saying. A good story is always great, but not ones that end in tragedy, okay? Use your front brake more than your rear brake, and the reason why is these are drum-driven rear brakes on all these scooters. Drum, the front is caliper. You can replace the pads. The rear is a lot harder to do. It's more difficult. Don't use the rear brake unless you absolutely have to, or just barely use it, because once the back goes, it's a very difficult task to replace that brake system versus the front. The front is just pads, basic pads. Just one bolt that come off, you put new pads on, you're done. The rear requires a lot more tear down. It's a huge job. You don't want to do that if you can avoid it. Trust me on this. Trust me, I work on these all day. Trust Dan. Trust me. And subscribe and hit the like button while you're at it. And if you feel like sending me a donation, I'm here for that. I'm just saying, trust me. I know these things. Well, guys, that pretty much sums it up for me. I hope that list of things helps you as a new owner of your Chinese scooter. Want it to last a while? Listen to what I've said. I promise you, you will get reasonable miles. The average scooter only sees 8,000 to 10,000 miles with minimal maintenance. You want more mileage? Take care of your scooter and don't treat it like shit. Be kind to it. It is your transportation. Love thy scooter. Love it. All right, most of the time I ride, well, big stuff like this. But I do a ton of work on these. I've been making videos about these things for years. I actually used to own a motorcycle and scooter repair shop. This is what I started on initially in 2012 when I owned my shop. And so I know what I'm talking about. I've dealt with a ton of these things. Trust Dan. I promise you. I'm a compendium of knowledge to offer you. Trust me. I know. Like I said before, smash the like button, subscribe, do all that wonderful stuff, and I will catch you guys on the flip. And don't forget, I have tons of videos about how to troubleshoot these, understand no spark scenarios, when to change things and adjust your valves, oil changes. I have all that stuff. Belts, how to modify them to make them go faster. All of that stuff is found on this channel. So if you're not subscribed, you'll never know.